Hey, I'm Mike.
Hey, I'm Chris.
This is Mike and Chris Reloaded. This week we're going to continue our Halloween trend of spooky stuff with supernatural sightings.
Yep, all month long.
Yeah, we're good at it too, I'm telling you. This is my favorite type of topic. I know it's not Chris's favorite, though.
I like a good spooker every now and again. I'm not gonna lie. It's not one of my favorite genres, but
Eh,
I'll sit down and watch them every now and again.
it's mine.
It's one of those ones that sneak up on you. That's the ones that get you.
Yeah. And in researching this stuff is creepy as crap, I'm telling
Yeah,
you.
even like last week when we did the urban legends, some of that stuff was like, even though they're not real, it's like, well, it's kind of disturbing that people would even think of some of this stuff.
Well, now some of those urban legends, which I don't know if you're going to talk about one tonight, was based on a supernatural sighting.
It was, and I actually, yeah, I do have a little bit of a mention of it.
Do you?
I
All
do.
right. Well, I'll save it so I don't over reveal it. But
Okay.
the first one I got, it's called the Greer Ghost. That's Greebreier, and basically it was a lady named Zona Shu, who was believed to have died during childbirth. Um, After her body was all dead and buried in the ground, it's said that the ghost of Zona appeared to her own mother 4 different occasions, saying that she was murdered. Well, the mother went to the police and gave the police this information, and the police exhumed her body and actually found out that her neck was broken.
Hmm.
And based off of these spiritual sightings. Her husband, this is a tough name. I don't why. Why do all serial killers and killers in general have more than two surnames? I mean, it's like 3 or 4 names, like Lee Harvey Oswald. It's always I don't get it.
John Wayne Gacy.
Yeah, I don't get it. They all. It's got to be some kind of conspiracy here. But this guy's name was Erasmus Stribling Trout Shoe. Now that is a mouthful.
Yes, it is.
But basically, after they did the autopsy, they arrested him, and during the court, they actually allowed the evidence of the ghost testimony. It's documented or testifying in court. So you can look up this case, uh, Erasmus Stribling Trout Shoe, and you will actually see testimony from the mother about the ghost sightings.
So it'd be the state versus shoe.
Yeah, state versus shoe.
Of which state?
That is a good question. I believe it was in Illinois. I forget now.
Okay.
But
And then not to put you on the spot too. Do you actually have an approximate about time frame when this happened?
no, I didn't have a time frame. I think it happened in the 30s.
Okay. So there was not a lot of a
No,
whole lot of forensics back then.
no, no.
Okay.
It was It's basically. I mean, isn't that where they got zombies? No, vampires from was the when they died when somebody went into a coma or something. They assumed that they were dead.
Yeah.
Back then, so they would bury them in the ground, and then somebody got the weird idea to undig these bodies and found out that they were scratching at their caskets and all kinds of crazy stuff, so they came up with the notion of vampires.
Oh yeah, I see. I'm just saying because if this happened, say like I don't know, 20 years ago, I'm like, you don't think they could have told she had a broken neck or something? I'm just
No,
like,
no,
something of that nature or whatever. But
no, it happened a while ago.
I'm gonna actually go right into the one we were talking about.
All
So
right.
get this out of the way. Um, Also in Chicago, Illinois, Resurrection Catholic Cemetery, which we talked about this last week. We were talking about the vanishing hitchhiker.
Yep.
Which big one right here was the lady's name is called Resurrection Mary.
Yep.
It's essentially what it is a young woman named Mary. Was her name, and she was killed back in the 30s, coming home from a ball of some sort, and so there's a road that goes that goes towards the Resurrection Catholic Cemetery in Chicago, Illinois, and they there's always a young woman, usually between the ages of 18 and 22, blonde. She's wearing like a ballroom gown type dress. Who's
Right.
kind of hitchhiking trying to catch a ride.
That's another thing. Have you ever noticed that most ghost sightings involve a woman? If it's a woman in a ballroom type dress or a
They
white linen,
they
or
just can't let it go. But anyway, when she gets a ride, people ask where she's going. She gives the address, and usually the address stops right in front of the cemetery. Now, a lot of things like she'll either get out, run into the cemetery, and disappear, or she might disappear before the car even stops. Um, the weird thing about this whole thing is the fact that all these people are telling this story are perfect strangers. Nobody knows each other because they're driving. You get travelers driving, people passing through, and everything else. However, all their details are all the same.
yeah, that's creepy.
So it's like you got these people, just total strangers driving through here, never met each other, don't know each other, they couldn't pick each other out in a lineup. Yet every single one of their accounts are identical.
Yeah, that's kind of like the next one I have too. Is that I mean you can't knock it. I mean, if you got eyewitnesses and every single eyewitness is saying the same factual details of what happened, how can you say it's not real? I mean, how can you say it didn't exist or was made up or I don't understand. It's I mean, these are people that I've never met, I would assume,
Yeah.
that just came up with, yeah, this happened during the car ride, and it's just what happens, and it's scary. It reminds me of the time. See, I had a ghost story here, which it ended up not being a ghost. But when I was a young kid, I went and I grabbed on the basement door of my house, and I was always afraid of going in the basement. And something grabbed the other side of the door and wouldn't let me open it. So I was freaked out. So I immediately left to go to the school bus stop, and I went to school. I got out. I don't even think I locked the front door. Well, years later, I'm retelling this story about how this happened and stuff, and my dad's like, "Yeah, my mom and dad were divorced at the time," and he's like, "Yeah, I broke in the house. I wanted to get some of my stuff back." So I'm like, "You bastard! You like screwed up half of my childhood."
And just to let you know, Mike is from Wisconsin, the home of all the serial killers out there. So,
Yeah. Yes.
the same Wisconsin where
The Packers
the
lost.
Packers lost to my Cowboys yesterday.
Yeah. I know. It's sad. I was heartbroken too when it happened.
Yeah. I was heartbroken when it happened for you, man. So,
No, you weren't.
You're right, I wasn't.
No, you were high on energy.
I tried to sound sympathetic.
No, he didn't. Don't let him fool you. Well, the next one I got is the Richard Miller Ghost, and it's basically this usher at a Minneapolis, Minnesota theater named Richard Miller. Um, he loved his job so much that, I mean, that's the first thing he looked forward to. But after a bout of depression due to a skiing accident and bad grades in school, the man ended up taking his own life. This happened somewhere around 1967, roughly. Well, I mean, he loved his job so much that they actually buried him in his usher blazer. So, I mean, that's commitment to work. Well, soon after his death, people in the theater started seeing his ghost, and it is the same thing as you. It just the testimony from the people was he was all wearing the exact same thing, had the exact same color hair, which was brown, and I mean, it just pointed to him. So eventually, they said that it must be his ghost, and he was seen in the Queen's box, which I don't even know what the heck a Queen's box is anymore.
It's like a balcony seat.
Is it? Is that that's a fancy term?
Yeah.
Is that where the old guys from the Muppets sit?
Yeah.
Okay, the Queen's box.
Yeah, it's like it was. I'm assuming it's at a theater. Correct?
Yeah, it was at a theater.
So it would be like something up, like you're sitting in a box seat in a stadium or something.
Right.
So it's the upper echelon. Where you can see everything. You're basically, the theory of it is you're looking down on people. That's why they call it the Queen's box.
Gotcha. All right. Well, hey, I learned something new today. But he's also seen in the catwalks, and basically this haunting took place until they tore the building down. They actually had to get rid of it.
Was he a model?
No, he
on
wasn't
the
in
catwalks, on the
love.
catwalk scene.
No, he was not in love with his body. He was not too sexy for himself.
Well, yeah, definitely creepy. It's like you said, people they see these things, don't know one person to the next, and it's like, who is that? Like, what are you talking about? you
Right.
know?
Exactly. And that was part of the thing is people would say, "Did you see that usher that was walking on the catwalks, or did you see the usher in the Queen's box?" And they're like, "What usher?" Not everybody would see him.
Yeah.
So these people, they basically thought they were crazy.
Um, Next one I'm going to talk about. I was actually talking with my one of my sisters today, Gloria. She actually lives in Chicago. She lives in, I guess, in a little suburb of Chicago. She don't live near the city. Said she doesn't really like to go there because it's too violent. Obviously, since we're talking about all these ghost stories that come from there.
Right.
But there was back in the 1870s, a gentleman by the name of Adolf Lutgert came over from Germany, and he
How the hell do you pronounce all these names?
I deal with a lot of people.
I've dealt with a lot of people in my life too. I can't pronounce a name worth crap.
But he came over from Germany with his wife Louisa Lutgert, and basically became the sausage king of Chicago. I mean, he was just huge.
I won't make a joke here.
Yeah, Abe Froman.
A huge sausage king.
So around later on in years, his wife, very beautiful, everything else, but they kind of grew apart, argued a lot. He ended up moving out to his office at the factory. He then started having an affair with his wife's niece, I believe. But a lot of talk and everything else. Well, on May 1st, 1897, his wife disappears. Okay, he said she went to go to her mother's. Last thing he ever saw of her, whatever. Um, Come to find out later on, and this story is very interesting in several different ways. One, this was actually one of the first uses of forensic science. In 1897, 1898, they what happened was is Adolf Lutgert ended up taking his wife and melting her, boiling her down in one of the big vats. So, but they ended up going through the stuff like that when people had um, when they went and investigating stuff, they ended up finding bone fragments and stuff in the vat and everything else. Now, I know what you're thinking. He might have ground her into sausage and everything else. He actually did not grind her into sausage. So he did not put them in the meat. Of course, we would never know now anyway. That was over 100 years ago. So
Right.
But no, he did not grind her into sausage.
Thank God.
Yeah.
Because I don't think I'd be able to eat sausage again.
But anyway, they during the trial, they ended up was going to try him. Everything was still kind of circumstantial because again, 1890s, so they didn't really have a whole lot. So he got out on bail, was out. Well, him and his lawyer would always meet and everything else, and they started seeing her ghost supposedly. Well, everyone was like, whatever, you're crazy, you're crazy. Well, eventually, it ended up driving him and his attorney insane, and he ended up getting convicted, where he confessed everything, getting convicted, and he died in prison while insane. Well, since then, they've tore down half the place. They've made some condos there. They've had people had sightings supposedly of her on the not on the part of the condos, but the part they didn't tear down to make condos.
Right.
In there, they've had sightings when it was in the sausage factory. They've had sightings. People reported seeing her in her house before they tore the house down. And they say to this day, if you go there on the corner that wasn't torn down for the condos, and on May 1st, that you might see her body, see her spirit.
No, thank you. So another building to avoid. May 1st.
Well, I'd probably pretty much avoid Chicago anyway, period. So that's just, I'd only go there to see my sister Gloria, so.
Yeah, we used to, I don't want to say, oh yeah, I don't care. I lived in Wisconsin, and, the Packer fan, the worst team in the NFL is the Chicago Bears. So, probably alienated some viewers or listeners. But we used to call everybody that came from Illinois because Well, we called them Flatlanders because the land is flat in Illinois, and they would drive up to Wisconsin and they would buy up all of our hunting property and stuff because then use it for their own hunting and vacation property. But we used to call them fibs, you effing Illinois bastards. That's what we used to call them all the time. Every time we saw an Illinois plate, we'd say, "There's a fib." We hated Chicago, but I've been in Chicago quite a few times, and it is not a pretty city. Speaking of not pretty cities, no, I actually New York is pretty nice. I've actually been to New York too. In 1991, the Supreme Court in New York deemed a house legally haunted, and that's my story here. Is Mr. Ackley claims that in this house, three malevolent spirits would appear to him all the time. And they would shake his bed, spin his bed, knock on walls, and stuff like that. I mean, it got so bad that he invited even Reader's Digest into his house because Reader's Digest used to be a big bad thing back in the 90s. In case anybody doesn't know or too young to know, Reader's Digest was the shit.
Oh, I know what it is.
Yeah. So Reader's Digest came in and they experienced some things and they wrote us long story in Reader's Digest about it. Well, the guy got sick and tired of it, of dealing with it, so he decided to hide it and put it up for sale. I mean, I don't understand how he hid it, but he put it up for sale and he admitted that the house was haunted to the people. And new owners move in, and of course, they experience, spirits walking their house, or bed shaking, bed spinning, furniture moving.
So basically, what you're telling me is they're a bunch of assholes.
Yeah, exactly. So the new owners
What a bunch of jerks.
and so the new owners decided to sue Mr. Ackley. And I forget the new owner's name, but this happened and it's a village in Nyack, New York, and it's right on the Hudson River. So it's pretty historical now. But the new owners took him to court, and it went all the way to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court of New York actually said yes, this house is haunted, and made Mr. Ackley pay back the owners for the house that they had purchased.
Huh. What do you know?
And you can look that up. I mean, you can read all the thing. It's called the Ghostbusters ruling, of nothing else.
Nice.
Yeah.
There you go, Kent.
Yep, New York's Ghostbusters ruling.
That is hilarious.
Yeah.
That's actually pretty funny.
It is fun. I thought it was hysterical, man. First of all, our government is so non-committal about stuff.
Oh, I know.
I'm sorry. I don't get into politics a lot, but I mean it's non-committal. They don't want to.
Of course, this was back in the '90s. I think.
Yeah, they don't want to admit aliens. They don't want to admit ghosts. They don't want to admit conspiracy theories. So I mean, for them to come out and say yes, this place is haunted. I mean, that's pretty big news. I mean, I'm surprised it's not out there more. I'm surprised people don't, especially with all these TV shows like. What is it? Not Ghostbusters, Ghost Hunters,
yeah.
and all that stuff. I'm surprised they don't just feed this information out there to show that the ghost really exists. Even the government says so.
That is crazy. Well, speaking of ghost hunters, I was actually speaking to my sister on this, Katie. Katie Ned, same last name. But she works at a little old place called 13th Gate, which is in Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
Now you're telling me this it's pretty scary.
Yeah, and the reason why it's called 13th Gate because literally there is 13 levels of this haunted house you go through. Okay, this place was, I believe, established back in like 2000, 2001, somewhere around. It's been around for a little while. Hauntworld.com in I think 06, 07 deemed it like the #1 haunted place in the entire country. Right now, as it sits in 2016, it's the #3 haunted place in the entire country. So, which is a pretty big feat, considering there's a lot of scary crap out there. The guy that owns it, his name's Dwayne Sanborn. Built it. Like I said, when he built it, he wanted something that was just so movie quality. And this thing, I mean, the makeup, the actors, everything. Of course, again, my sister is an actor there also. She's been working there, God, for, I don't know, 4 or 5 years now. I know she took a year off in between, but she's been there for quite a while. Um, but it was built, actually, it used to be the place he found is, I believe it's around a 40,000 square foot area, but it used to be like a mason brick, like,
Bricklayer.
yeah, well, they made bricks, stuff like that,
Yeah.
like a mason place.
Yeah, I got you.
But the place was ran by a bunch of slaves, and
Damn you, South.
and now I don't know. They said when they went to dig up the place and start building construction on the thing, they said they found a bunch of slave shackles in there too.
Wow.
So it's like, they've had ghost hunters come in and investigate it. They've had some weird sightings and things of that
Now,
nature.
wouldn't you think that this would? I mean, if you're digging and then you find slave shackles, maybe a femur bone here, a femur bone there.
Couple of skulls every now and again.
Yeah, would you not just stop and say, okay, maybe this isn't the greatest place to build? That's like all the idiots that build on Indian burial grounds and then complain their house is haunted afterwards.
The the biggest thing, and this is kind of going to lead into a couple of things, if you don't mind here.
No, I don't mind. Take your time.
The biggest thing, that one of their biggest attractions, actually, they have there, once they got everything going, is about a voodoo queen named Marie Laveau.
Marie Laveau. There's actually a song about her too.
There is. Sung by Beret is his name. I don't remember his first name.
I don't know.
Michael Beret, I think.
Yeah, I don't know the guy. I just know my dad sings it every time he goes to karaoke, so yeah. I don't like the song.
But it's one of, actually, their like more well-known attractions there. Of course, all of them are really good, but the actress that actually plays Marie Laveau in the scene is that her name's Mercy Rose Jones, and I guess she's pretty well known there. But they said she's so believable, it's just like uncanny. But a little thing about Marie Laveau is the fact that she's actually, she was back in the she was born in 1801, I believe.
Right.
Lived for about 80 years or so. Mm-hmm. And it's really weird. I read a lot about her, actually, and I think the next time I actually go down and visit my family, I'd like to go to the gravesite and see it. But
some say she's still living. So
yeah, well, and that's the thing, and she's buried in the St. Louis Cemetery number 1 is what it's called. It's actually the oldest cemetery in Louisiana.
So wait, you're telling me that it's a good idea for you to go visit a dead voodoo god gravestone?
Let me elaborate on that. But in fact, the cemetery, the St. Louis Cemetery number 1 was actually deemed. I was reading this on CNN. It was deemed the number 1 haunted cemetery in the United States.
Yeah. So, and you're saying that it's a good idea to go visit this?
I'll go during the day.
My ass ain't going to that shit.
But well, and here's the thing: it's like people have said they spotted her walking around the catacombs and the tombs of that, and where she actually supposedly would put a curse on people who actually are there to desecrate, a lot of the stuff. The legend is you would go there. You'd go to her gravesite, her tomb, leave an offering, whatever it is, and basically ask for her voodoo blessings in whatever situation you're looking for. And if the blessings had come true or come to pass, everything else, you would go back, put 3 X's on her tomb to give thanks for the coming true.
All right.
And I've seen pictures of the tomb. The thing is just covered with X's everywhere. So who knows?
Yeah, I'm not going.
Yeah. But even the story of Marie Laveau is just it's weird and incredible, because she, it said she practiced voodoo and this and that. She did it out in the open for a while, and then later on in years she kind of did it secretly when it started becoming more taboo. Mm-hmm. But she wasn't a bad person.
Oh, I would assume not, but I am a chicken shit, okay?
No. She really was, by all accounts in history, she really wasn't she wasn't a bad person. She gained a lot of influence and notoriety she was actually a hairdresser, and she did a lot of hairdresser for like a lot of aristocratic, white women and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So she'd get involved in a lot of secrets, and like she'd get with all these aristocrats, like their servants and stuff. So she'd get to know a lot of ins and outs and secrets of all these rich people. So she'd use a lot of it as leverage, and she'd gain influence and everything else. And she rose like way up there in power, and she was one of the most influential people in Louisiana, right there in Baton Rouge or whatever. But and she was also actually as far as like medical knowledge, she did a lot of like with herbs and stuff like that, which I guess kind of coincided with her voodoo thing.
Right.
But she actually cured a lot of things and helped a lot of sick people and stuff like that.
Yeah, most voodoo people, they're voodoo doctors is what that's the thought I come to, and they're healers first, and then
Yeah.
I mean every form of, which we might do a witchcraft episode, but every form of that's got dark and good,
Yeah.
good ways to practice, and
It is, and I believe a lot of things out there too are some people get a bad rep on some things, but yeah, there's people who intentions are good, whether this stuff is true or not. I believe that a lot of people's intentions are good, on some things, and of course there's people who I'm gonna cut open your firstborn baby to drink the blood so I can live forever type thing.
Yeah.
So.
But I still can't believe that you're gonna go there. Did you?
It's just it's a factual thing I'd like to see, man.
You can ask my wife. We were walking around the lake yard one night. It was dark outside, and we were just walking, having a quiet conversation. I mean, it was peaceful, not a single noise or anything around. Then all of a sudden, you heard coming up behind us, and I saw a shadow. First thing I did was grabbed her and put her directly in front of me. That is a true story.
In front of the person.
In front of the person in front of me, yes. My wife is speaking up. That is a true story. I am a chicken shit. Okay, I am not going to put myself in a place where I know I might get injured, haunted, hurt, anything. Not going to happen.
Well, at least we know who wears the skirt in the family.
I'm not afraid they're ashamed to admit it.
And no, that's not a kilt. But anyway, but since then, Marie Laveau has been, she's been, of course, she was in your show you always keep, which I have not watched yet.
American Horror Story.
The Covenant. She was portrayed
which was not my favorite season, though.
But she was portrayed by Angela Bassett, I believe, in
Yes.
the show, and that's actually supposed to be her in the show and everything else. But they've had a lot of different things. They've made a song about her. We were just talking about that, but it's just fascinating to see some of these things that are based off of legend and lore, and how and we talked about this during our podcast last week, how a lot of things just kind of spread and escalate from there,
like an infestation or a virus.
And it's neat to see kind of like actual history of things where people were kind of real and what they did and everything else. But like I said, they have a great thing on it there at the 13th Gate. A bunch of people I know that's on my friends list watch it or listen to my podcast, family, friends, everything else. John Apperton's another one. I don't know if he's a scary clown.
Oh, he's a scary clown?
Yeah. He's a friend of my sister's. I know him a little bit. Like I said, my sister Katie, she works there. The lady that plays Marie Laveau in the one of the gates, Mercy Rose Jones. Another girl on my friend's list, Sarah Bass. Sarah Bass. She's gonna get mad at me. I'm not using my proper grammar or pronunciation, I guess. But she was actually in one year. She was voted creepiest woman, female there. I guess with her makeup and everything else, she's worked there. But it's a great attraction. If people don't get a chance, obviously go watch it, go see it.
So it's Louisiana's Halloween Horror Nights?
It is. It's basically it's their thing. Excuse me. This is their year. I believe they're open like Thursday, Friday, Saturdays, except this week they're going to run all the way through, Halloween and everything else. But it's again, like I said, I looked it up. Haunt World named it like number 3 in the entire country. So
wow,
that's you've got to figure 50 states. That's
pretty
good. That's real good. And at one point in time, it was number 1 in the entire country. So
wow.
So
And the one that I was we're gonna admit, but I bet you the number one haunted place in the U.S. is probably the Queen Mary. I bet you. I would bet it's a Google thing. I mean, that's just like, oh, you're gonna Google it.
I'm going to the Google machine.
But I'm not gonna cover it because we're about out of time. So, but what I do want to say is we do now have officially a website. It is mikeandchrisreloaded.libsyn. That's LIBSYN.com. Again, that's mikeandchris.libsyn.com. We are now available on Google Play and iTunes. So you can download our podcast and play it on the go in your car, or you can still visit us in traditional ways at YouTube or Mike and Chris.
We will still post it on YouTube also for some people who are not able to get to there yet. But you can I actually looked it up today. Just went on the Google and just looked up our website, and it's on there. So
yep,
it comes up our podcast, Mike and Chris Reloaded podcast. It shows you can play them right from there and listen to them. And we'll be putting the links in there also. We'll also set the link in our Facebook. Actually, I've added our website to our Facebook.
Have you? Oh, that's good.
I've already added it. So it's the website is on our page now, Mike and Chris Reloaded. So you can go there and click right to the website, and it'll take you right to us.
Yeah, like Chris said, if you just Google us, there's just going to be a ton of options pop up. You can listen to us anywhere you want to listen to us at. So did you get the answer yet, Chris?
I did not yet, but I will find it.
All right, we'll post it on.
I'll post it on there. If anyone's out there and they have their own haunted story they want to tell, let us know. I want to say thank you to my sister Katie and the owner Dwayne Sandburn and Mercy Rose Jones and John and everybody else for listening to us and giving us those wonderful stories and ideas. Thank you for my sister Gloria also creeping me out today with some of those funny. Well, I didn't get to the funny one, but some of the other ones were pretty good. But
I also want to say thank you to our guests who didn't show up.
Stop being hateful now.
I'm not being hateful.
But that's okay. The show must go on. You know how it goes.
I think it's pretty good anyways. I'm interesting to listen to, so just give me more time to talk.
No, it's not.
Don't fall asleep, Chris.
But don't forget to check out our website. Don't forget to like and share our page. Check us on YouTube. Everything else we got, iTunes, Google Play, all the ones we got coming out. Everything else, we're going to be improving more and more as we go along.
Yeah, it's still work in progress. So give us a break.
We can say we're evolving.
Yes, so we're going to the next level. We're actually financially committed now.
Eventually, pretty soon, we're going to start doing some video podcasts.
Yep, once we work out a camera thing.
In the future, we'll be doing that. It might be possibly after the first of the year. We might make it that first New Year one, maybe, depending on how things work out. So
yeah.
But we've got some good shows coming up for the rest of this month, and we've got a few more shows coming up for the rest of this year.
Next week we're doing horror stories or horror movies.
Horror movies based on true events or true things.
And if everything works out, we're going to have Dane back in the studio with us. Or my kitchen, dining room, whatever.
And we're working on that too.
Yeah, we're working on that too. So